What is going on, Clippers fans? Welcome. Switch to season 3, episode 20 of Clips and Dip, the final episode before the regular season starts. We cannot wait for that to start. We're going to be talking
about the chronology again of the seasons. Sorry to interrupt.
The draft.
I can't remember. The draft is what resets the new year.
Yeah. Bullshit. The draft is what resets the season.
Well, the man who writes the rundowns gets to decide the season.
We all agreed on this.
That's rule.
We're going to be talking about the regular season on Monday, but today we're talking what we liked from the preseason, what individual stuff we liked, what good things we hope carry over, what bad things we hope don't carry over. Thanks for watching us. If you want to listen to us, you can listen to us anywhere. Watching us over on youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast is the full experience. Before we get into all of the great Clippers stuff, Adam, Will, what are you doing today to celebrate Terrence Mann's birthday? Let's go, Terrence.
Let's go. I'm cramming a bunch of work in before a long weekend, but I'll be celebrating Terrence all weekend long. How about that?
That's classic.
Does that do anything for you? I did. You know, I'm a bit of a sucker. I did get a little emotional when I saw the team singing "Happy Birthday" to him. It's he's just been there so long, and it just feels. I mean, he's like one of the few homegrown guys that's still on the team. So, yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great moment.
Adam, what are you doing? Did you build a statue or something?
You can't tell. You really can't tell.
You got a haircut.
Oh, you got a haircut.
I got Manscaped. All right.
All over?
Check this out, guys.
Oh, yeah, go to youtube.com for the best experience of Clips and Dip.
Yeah.
How do you plan to celebrate? Did you know before they made the post? Did you have this circle on your calendar?
That Terrence Mann's birthday? Yeah, I mean, I knew he was turning 28. We were talking about it. He's about to turn 28. It's
over for him.
Entering, yeah, in terms of pre-prime, smack dab in his prime. He's there.
Right in his prime.
It's over for the league.
There we go. That's what we like to hear. Happy birthday, Terrence Mann. Thank you for doing anything the Clippers ask of you, sometimes to play 5 different positions in a week. We appreciate that. The final preseason game is over. It was a very preseason game, the second half of last night, I thought. Some great stuff from the Clippers. Who impressed us the most over the entire preseason? And we can probably get the main guy out of the way. It's Jordan Miller, right? This was, I don't know if coming out party is the right term because it was just preseason, but he looks ready to help out a Clippers team that's going to need the things he does well.
Sure hope they find a spot in the rotation for him, because if they can't figure out during a season like this that, well, some believe it's our year and all that, and that's fine. Others believe it could be more of a transitional type of year.
The moral majority.
They're fighting for the playoffs. If you can't figure out how to integrate young guys now who are not that young and are turning 25 in January, when is it going to happen? Like, I think there needs to be some urgency about this. I've been saying all preseason consistently, it looks too easy for him. Throw more challenges his way. He just bodied Keegan Murray, who's one of the better young players in the NBA. That Sacramento team was playing everybody but De'Aaron Fox. Like, Sabonis played 30 minutes. I mean, he's doing it now against real NBA competition. What else do you need to see? I know it's difficult. There's other guys on the roster you have to account for. It's a numbers game, but I think there needs to be some urgency with making sure Jordan Miller is getting consistent time from game one. I am asking for it. I'm not waiting for somebody, injuries happen throughout the season. KPJ could get suspended. Kawhi is not going to be there right now. I'm saying if this roster's fully loaded, he still should be getting minutes.
Yeah, I thought that's what was like kind of perplexing about Ty Lue's quote. He said that he is a guy that he trusts, but he's like not sure where to work him into the rotation. And it's like, well, buddy, that's your job. So, I mean, I understand it. Obviously, there is, it's a little bit of a log jam where he would play. And there is some overlapping stuff. But at the same time, I just don't know. you got to try some stuff this year, and it's not always going to be pretty, and it's not always going to be great. But I do think, going back to Adam's thing, that should be a part of the plan, that there should be an on way for him having at least some sort of place in the rotation, even if it's the 11th man. That should still be, that should be a consideration.
Do we think, because if you look at the 10 guys, Amir stands out as the guy who would probably be switched out for Jordan Miller at some point, I think.
And Amir's been good in the preseason.
Absolutely, yeah.
Really not good. A knock. He just had 18.
Not a knock on Amir at all.
Yeah. But we know he's closer to a finished product than Jordan Miller.
Right. Yeah. But who else in the 10-man rotation? It's I don't know who he's bumping out. And I don't mean this this is, I think, a testament to where Ty Lue is at, because that 5 guys at the back end of the 10-man rotation, there's not a lot of peaks and valleys between those guys in terms of abilities. You know what I mean? It's not that's a super bottom heavy or top heavy second 5. It's a lot of lateral moves. I don't mean that in a bad way, just their ability.
What if he wore lips? Okay. Let's say he wears lips. He's now 3 inches taller. He fits a clear need in this Clippers roster.
That's true.
Does he ever make you feel like he's 6'5" when he's attacking the paint like that? He looks 6'7", 6'8". I don't believe he's 6'5".
You think they're going the other way? Yeah, they're
maybe he grew. Late growth spurt. Milked his body good. Flintstone part of it.
He does a thing that the Clippers need, which is find buckets. I felt like every time in this preseason, his first shot either went in or he got a foul. LA Clippers Film posted these stats: 10 free throw attempts per 100 possessions in the preseason, 9 free throw attempts per in the Vegas Summer League, 65% true shooting overall in the G League last season, 69% true shooting in the Showcase Cup specifically. Obviously, there's a jump. Obviously, there's a jump between where those numbers were cultivated and where he would be trying to put those numbers up this year. But he's clearly shown, as he said, he's I want to show that I'm better than the G League. It's hard. He has. And the Ty Lue quote was a little flummoxing.
From last night or from today from Joey Lynn?
Today from Joey Lynn, where he was I trust him, but
we'll see type of thing.
Don't know where he's going to be.
Then it's not on Ty Lue. Then a tough decision has to be made by the front office. That's where we're at.
Sorry, the full quote for context was, "We'll see, still trying to figure that part out. If I put him in the game, I do have confidence and trust in him, so we'll see going forward."
And I think this ties in, though. You brought up yesterday on Twitter, Adam, that maybe the reason they're keeping Bones is due to the incoming suspension. Well, again, we don't know when for KPJ. Maybe that's helps Jordan Miller getting in. That's one less guy in the rotation. Yeah. I have to assume when one person is out of the rotation, Jordan Miller, like you mentioned through injury, will be put into that spot.
But we haven't even talked about Bones. In this scenario, as currently constructed, is Jordan Miller behind Bones in the rotation, on ramp or path forward?
Based on what we saw in preseason, I think so. It's not. I don't agree with it, but
on a fully healthy roster, is Bones in the 10-man rotation?
Right. I don't think so.
So all it does if KPG gets suspended is put him in. It doesn't put Jordan Miller in. It puts Bones in. So that's still not enough, I think, to really clear a path for him.
Yeah. So we just have to wait for Ty?
No, I think the front office is going to have to make a tough decision.
Trade some people? Trade Amir?
I don't know. Amir has been traded before, just so we're clear on this.
Yes, he has.
I don't want Amir Coffey to get traded. I don't want anybody to get traded. But
PJ Tucker
something has to be done in order to get a guy who's about to turn 25 in January run.
Twice traded, once moved would be a great country album, though. If Amir ever wanted to do that, if he was eventually traded.
Yeah. I want it to happen.
You want him to be traded?
No. I want Jordan Miller to get time, but Law Murray brought this up too. If Kai Jones keeps being good, the trade deadline is going to be interesting for the Clippers. They got to make time for these guys who are being good.
Kai Jones is also not supposed to be part of the 10-man rotation.
Right.
It wouldn't be if Mo Bamba's healthy. So it's Mo Bamba being hurt doesn't help Jordan Miller either. It helps Kai Jones. The only way is a consolidation trade or massive amounts of injuries, which we don't want.
Oh God, yeah, we can never use that.
Why'd you put that on the table?
Yeah.
Because it's at the front of everyone's mind with this team of all times.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about the Kawhi stuff at the end of the episode. I don't know. Yeah, this is gonna be. I mean, I think we've found the Clippers fan base gripe for the year is play Jordan Miller more, and I'm in that gripe, right? Like, there's kind of one every year that I feel like guys kind of like fans kind of harp on. It's real this year. Jordan Miller needs time. This team's gonna have difficulty scoring.
This is like serious though. It's not even about this year and how much he can help them score more, which I think he can. Yeah. Great. It's their best young prospect since Shea, and he's about to turn 25. You have to play him now. There is no more time to wait. There has to be urgency about this.
And you're saying you're saying you want him to play day one. You want the consolidation trade. You want the consolidation trade between now and Wednesday.
Or put him in front of somebody. Make a tough decision there.
Oh, I like that. I think that sounds like a Ty Lue thing to do.
Kobe Brown is on a standard contract. Jordan is on a two-way.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That doesn't look great right now, right? Jordan Miller is the guy who has proven much more than Kobe Brown, whose play has been somewhat up and down. Jordan Miller has been up, trending upwards the entire time. Dominates G League, dominates Summer League. Very good in the preseason. No dip threes. Got one of those last night. I don't even know if he needs threes to be effective with how good he is getting downhill.
And getting fouls. He's learned from Norm.
I don't know. I woke up today and I felt like I needed to bang the table and be like, Jordan Miller must play. What are we doing? It's just, come on. There's an excuse for not playing young guys before this year. There is a legitimate excuse for that. And granted, they still gave Kobe Brown that 10-game run last season, and that was awesome to see. But we haven't been able to develop young guys and find out what they can do. If Brandon Boston turned out to be something this season, would anyone here be that shocked? Like, totally shocked?
No, totally shocked.
It would probably be, he never got, real time with the Clippers. He got a few minutes here and there. That's what we would all say.
The reasoning would make sense, yeah.
That can't happen anymore. Not on a team that doesn't look like they're winning at all this year. Maybe it is their year, but it doesn't look like they're a true contender at the moment with Kawhi still out.
I mean, they're not. And we all agree with you that he needs to play. We just have to wait.
It's not an easy solution. It's not.
It's not. Another thing in the preseason that impressed us, I like what Ty Lue was saying about Zubac needs to try and be in the DPOY conversation. I also think that hints at how much responsibility he's going to have this year. He always has had a lot of responsibility, but I think with the backcourt that we're starting, I know that Norm can lock in, but I think Zoo's going to be asked to do even more on defense this year. I think he's capable, but I like hearing Ty Lue publicly give Zoo that kind of shout out type thing.
Does that specific thing, because we already know what Zoo is defensively, give you any concerns about how they intend to use him offensively or the amount of touches he's going to get? Because sort of all off season we've talked about, how do you make up for this gaping 24 points that's now off of the roster? And I think it's like, one answer or one portion of the equation comes down to Ivica Zubac, and it still seems like he's not really a priority there, albeit not the greatest of preseason showings for him, but not awful.
He played in the summer too. I'm like, he's a guy where it's like, whatever. That is a great question though. And now I do have that fear. that I didn't really think about that. But that
it's just evident that he's still only thought about on one side of the ball, which is great. It is. It really is.
He's elite.
This team needs easy buckets, and they need other things to lean on offensively. And I'm hoping that we're not completely, turning a blind eye to that.
And it goes into Adam's thing too about like his stamina, right? Like it's hard to play defense as a center for sure, especially if you're guarding multiple positions. So that could also jeopardize some of the offensive touches.
I do worry about that. His cardio, it's never looked great, and we all keep crying about him not playing enough minutes, but he has to do his part and actually be able. And now you can make the argument Zubac's at 70% out there is still better than your backup option, right?
Yeah.
So he needs to play 30 minutes a night. He does. But I'll say this, as much as he talked about the defense with Zoo last night, pretty much every other game post game so far in the preseason, I think Coach Lue has mentioned them not getting him involved enough or not getting it to his spots or deep enough in the post, or Zoo was moving too quickly or rushing shots.
Yeah.
So like they have talked about his offense a lot and made the point that he's going to have to do more on that end. Like I think they know. I hope.
Do they know?
I hope they do too.
It's not to be our year if they don't.
And well, see, that's the thing. We don't know what's going to be Will doesn't know what the catalyst of our year is going to be, right? Maybe it's Jordan Miller averaging 35.
Tell you, our year, it's a feeling. It's not up here. It's in here.
Okay. Keeping with the center trend, I was pleasantly surprised by Kai Jones getting better every game. I'm not saying that he's
Not
like
last
elite or whatever.
Wait, what were you saying, Adam?
Not last night. He did not get better last night.
He was a little all over the place last night.
Sabonis gave him work.
Yeah.
He fouled him multiple times. Even Alex Len was too much for him, but it's expected.
I'm a Len head, so I was not surprised by that at all. He did stuff the stat sheet. Other than the bad defense, he did a whole bunch of stuff. If he can run the floor, dunk the ball, and protect the rim okay, I'm with it. That's what we got. And it looks better than what I thought it would look like when the preseason started.
Speaking of looking good, I don't know if you noticed this, Adam. I was looking at Kai Jones's stubble pattern. I think he'd grow a great handlebar mustache. Haggle or no haggle.
Kai Jones with the handlebar? People would be concerned about him again.
I think it'd look great.
Like the bad guy in Raising Arizona, just straight up motorcycle handlebar mustache. Sure. Even more intimidating than his hops. He has the handlebar mustache.
That 2-footed dunk was crazy yesterday.
The and one?
Yeah. The one he got in where he got the that was nuts. But
did I hear Brian Seaman use Sky Jones last night after he did that?
Yeah, he did use Sky Jones.
I'm gonna be talking to him about that.
You're upset?
I patented that. I called him Sky Jones right before he had the game-winning dunk against in Seattle against Portland.
You're gonna charge him.
This is, of course, the portion of the show where we where we do our copyright claims.
You're gonna Venmo request. You're gonna Venmo request Brian.
I at least want a shout out.
Okay, but we can't be again. I'm trying to go into the season positively. I liked the Kai Jones preseason. I like the Kai Jones preseason.
Yeah.
I'm sad for Mo Bamba. I would say I don't know if gutted is the right word, but he looked bummed on the bench. He wants to play.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope we're not getting into a situation like last year where we have a backup center rushing back because they see their spot is kind of being jeopardized and worrying about the longevity of that. Because I still am interested to see how Ty could integrate Mo Bamba. I don't really understand the fit in actuality, but I'm interested to see what that would look like, because we just didn't get a glimpse. So I'm curious, and having another legitimate 7-footer I think is always good, especially for how small this team is. But yeah, Kai's got the spot.
Kai's got the spot.
Kai Jones fans were right, guys.
Okay, I'm not. We need to treat him like Giannis.
He's coming for Zoo next.
But yeah, limited minutes. I think he's going into the season. He's going to the season as best as he possibly could, which is good.
Is that deal done? When's that deal getting done?
I put this on Twitter. The deadline has to be this weekend. The game's starting.
You at least get a week heads up, don't you?
I don't know, right? It's got to be soon.
Adam?
You know more about this stuff than we do.
Probably right after we're done.
Yeah, well, you'll go live. Amir, I saw something last night that was cool. I feel like Amir is a great in-between vet for these young guys. We talked about how he's a finished product and he knows how to do his job in terms of NBA basketball. He's a good guy to be out there and teach these young guys. Who Jordan Miller also seems like someone who is very well aware of his situation and I gotta prove that I gotta take these minutes type thing. So I like Amir kind of being this weird sage piece, like vet for the young guys, or guys just new to the Clippers system in general.
I don't want to make it seem like I think today Jordan Miller is better than Amir Coffey.
Of course.
But there's a real possibility by the end of this season, if you let him play consistently, he could be. And there's a real possibility Amir is a guy you want for a team contending with the championship right now. The Clippers might not be that.
Yeah.
So therefore, you should probably be developing the guy with the higher ceiling to see where it goes over the guy that would be more useful in a situation where you're in the inner circle of contenders.
You know what? And they're not contenders, but you know what coach I think would love to have Amir on his team? Greg Popovich.
Oh, yeah.
He seems like a good pop guy. Will, where are you at on Amir Coffey?
Trade him. No.
He's so cheap. That's what's hard too. His contract's crazy value.
Yeah, no, I love Amir. It's curious to see.
If they had to trade Amir to get rid of PJ, I would be upset. Would you not? I mean, depending on what they get back. But if it's just like a dump type of thing to get rid of PJ, that would be awful.
Yeah.
That would mean he was going to a contender, though.
That'd be a brutal end to another guy that,
Good for him.
Good for you. Get out of here.
Another one of the few guys.
That means PJ gets to go to. No. Sorry, Will.
No, that's it.
No, I know what you were saying. It'd be a horrible end to a guy who's given everything for the. He's been with the team for so long. But it was good. That Bones, Dunn, Amir 3-man lineup last night has some interesting potential.
Can we talk about how once again, when Bones Highland gets a green light in real minutes, he looks good and gives effort on the defensive end? He had 2 steals in the first couple of minutes and got him to Terrence Mann.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been better defensively than advertised from Denver Nuggets fans when he plays real minutes for the Clippers. I'm not saying he's great, but he gives effort and he can get steals and he's got, some wingspan to him on the perimeter. I don't know. I just love seeing Bones actually getting a shot again.
Yeah, he showed out for sure defensively. He did have the green light shooting wise. That didn't go so well, but that's fine.
What was it, 4 for 13?
Yeah, he was 1 for 7 from 3. But I did like what you were saying. Like, I think the Bones thing, they're keeping him because they don't know what's happening with KPJ's situation, who also had a good preseason for a guy who hadn't played basketball in so long and showed some juice of what the Clippers will need at some point. So I think you're correct about that.
KPJ fans were right.
Man,
what are you doing?
Don't bring that over to this show. Keep it over on Clippers Talk.
Look, I mean, they deserve a little bit of credit for KPJ and Kai.
There's a difference between being right and saying, "Oh, maybe they were onto something."
Okay.
Because being right is Kevin Porter Jr. plays 30 minutes a game for this team.
That's fair. That's totally fair. It's still preseason, but both of them have showed some promise.
Yeah.
Say that.
And then anyone else individually, we're going to talk team stuff in the next segment, but will anyone else individually pop to you this preseason?
Unexpectedly, no. But it was interesting to get the first look of the team with James Harden at the helm. And not the most efficient, but it looked very much like preseason James Harden. So
yeah. Adam, any other individuals you would like to speak about who perhaps have insane fandoms that you want to shout out?
Elijah Harkless Hive, big ups.
The Harkless Hive is crazy.
He brought it last night. You guys know Harkless last season in the G League, with that crazy defense he plays, he actually shot 44% from 3 in the G League last season. That's better than Kobe. That's better than the Jordan Miller. And we're talking over 20 games. It was kind of legit. Like, this is somebody, I don't know. We should also mention Alonzo Williams was really good in the preseason.
Yes, I hope he's sticking around. He seems like a guy who would learn from Amir in a good way. Just specifically last night, Braxton Key. Love watching that guy go 3 for 3. That was really fun. I was like, hell yeah, dude, go for it. The 3 he hit was nasty. All right, coming up, we're going to talk team stuff offensively and defensively. Who knows? After this quick break on audio, if you're watching us, you get to see our faces and Adam's new haircut the whole time. If you'd like to watch us, you can find us on youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. We got ads and then more preseason talk coming up in 3, 2, 1.
All right, we are back in. It's the conclusion of the preseason, and I want to know how you guys are feeling. Better, worse? Adam, what are you feeling better about after this Los Angeles Clippers preseason?
So I think it reinforced some things defensively and principles from Jeff Van Gundy that make you think and believe that they truly can be and should be a top 10 defense this season. If the 21-22 team that had less talent on that end could be 8th defensively, there's no reason this team can't do the same thing. Even if Kawhi doesn't play a game. He didn't play a game in the 21-22 season for the Clippers. Paul George only played 31. Now, James Harden playing more doesn't necessarily help you on the defensive end. But we talked about earlier with Ivica Zubac and him having to do more defensively. I mean, maybe they have more point of attack defenders. Like, they should be much better at keeping the ball in front of them. They should be much better than last season in that area. And there was a real effort on that end, no matter who was available and playing night to night in the preseason, that I think, and Coach Lue talked about, he dumped it down in Honolulu to our team this year. The identity is playing hard. And obviously there's schemes, there's all kinds of stuff that's included in there. But the point is they're going to play hard, they're going to scrap, and that's what the fans want to see, is what Coach Lue brought up after their win Monday night at Intuit Dome. That's what the fans want to see. Maximize your talent. Go out there and play above your heads at times and take down some giants and be a defensive team that, I don't know, that's fun to watch.
I mean, you look at the stocks, right? The steals and blocks for the Clippers. In the preseason, they were 2nd in steals and they were 5th in blocks.
So I went through it last night. And because we've talked a lot about preseason defensive rating, opponent field goal percentage, and it's fun. And they finished, or at least after last night, they were number 1 in both of those. And I think there's some more preseason games today, and then it's over. So the numbers will change. But I went to last year's preseason to see who was number 1.
Yeah.
And to see who were the top 10 defenses in the preseason and how that lined up with the regular season. And it was kind of all over the place. Like the Toronto Raptors were number 1 in the preseason last year, and I think they finished bottom 10 defensively.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a lot you could say, oh, this trash carries over. Yeah. There were a couple that were close that, like, okay, they were 5th in the preseason. They ended 4th in the regular season. Yeah. There were like a couple, but it was just a mess overall. There were also just as many that were good in the preseason and really bad in the regular season.
But I think that it does fit into what you were saying, where guys were trying, like specifically with steals and blocks. It's like, all right, I guess the effort's there kind of top to bottom on a per game basis. Because totals are, but another point from LA Clippers Film, who had a great day on Twitter. He mentioned the defensive chops. He said the Clippers have just enough athleticism and defensive chops between Zoo, Derek Jones Jr. at point of attack, man guarding up, Chris Dunn, Kawhi, if alive, Batum, that they should find themselves in quite a bit of coin flip games. And in general, a far more competitive team than a team with an over-under of 37.5 wins, which I think is true. Like the amount of individual capable defenders, again, the Clippers have been the king of on paper. But on paper, they got a solid, annoying-ass defensive team to play.
Yeah, I think it's more than just the collective whole playing really hard. They actually have talented guys individually, defensively, that on paper have proven it in the NBA at this level. So there's real reasons to think that it is going to carry over for them into the regular season. Not to be in the number 1 defense, but to being a top 10 defense. It has to be.
Will, what are you excited for offensively?
I mean, I teased it last segment, but just seeing James Harden run the show, I think there's a lot of interesting sort of two-man pick and roll things you can get into there. And I'm really interested to see too, which we've talked about a little bit before on the show, is like how they find ways to have him not have to necessarily carry the ball up all the time to initiate the offense, whether that's Derrick Jones Jr. or getting the ball somewhere else and just sort of initiating side pick and roll, have him working off ball a little bit. I'm curious to see how he looks. I mean, he's going to look great if Norm is actually passing, but I'm curious to see how he looks off ball when Norm has the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's the good and bad problem for the Clippers team this year is like how many questions there are. And I think that Harden is like the most stable sort of offensive system that they've had, regardless of whether or not Kawhi or Paul George are on the floor. You know what I mean? This is like, This is the guy. He's running the show. And there are a lot of possibilities. And as we talked about throughout the preseason, I mean, just youth plus athleticism around Harden, I think, is a great combo for where he's at right now in his game too. And it is an exciting new look for this Clippers team.
And I like that they established throughout the whole preseason, right? Adam, you talked about like, oh, they established we're going to work hard. They've established this is the James Harden offense. Like, this is his offensive system to run, which there's a lot worse guys to be running it. He averaged a whole bunch of assists in the preseason, a lot of turnovers too, but that's what the preseason is for. But I like that we've talked about offensive identity before with this team. It's James Harden. They're kind of going
29 opponent turnovers a game.
Damn.
Every game.
But I just like that they've hashed that out. This is Harden's team. He's in the best shape of his life, which is the first time they've ever said that about an athlete.
Much like Adam.
Much like Adam. But it's going to be good. Harden's going to make. I hope they don't grind him down too much because we do need to rely on him a whole lot, and he played a lot last year. But
if you can run though, like Harden is gonna find you. You know what I mean? Like if you can, like we have those guys now, like guys who are like physically capable and of the age to be doing that kind of stuff.
That's what's exciting. You have so many runouts, advanced passes, hit ahead passes, whatever you want to call them. I like the mortar fire passes where it's just over the top of the defense. Harden finds you.
Yeah.
And we're going to see a lot of athletic plays. Yeah, a lot of dunks because you got Terrence Mann, you got Derrick Jones Jr. in the starting lineup. Norman Powell can get out in transition and cherry pick a little bit too. Off the bench, Amir Coffey, KPJ, Bones Highland. He found him for one of those long passes, I think, in the game in Seattle. Like there's so many guys. Kai, most importantly. What's funny is I don't think so far in the preseason that James and Kai have been able to connect. I think on two opportunities on an oop, it actually, ironically, didn't happen where Kai misplayed. They had a little communication afterwards where Harden got on him a little bit. It's funny. You would think that if any guy is lobbing it to Kai, it's James Harden. It'll manifest in the regular season, but it's just funny how those two, everybody else is connected with Kai but James Harden. That'll
be a large oop is my prediction for when that connection finally happens. What do you maybe feel not so good about heading into the regular season? Adam, we'll start with you.
Is this the Kawhi segment?
No, that's actually what we feel neutral about because that I guess we can talk about that.
Should we talk about that?
Talk about it
because everybody was really, really upset about the, about the new designation. How is it any different from what we've been told for the last 6 months?
He's been indefinite.
Yeah, that was crazy, especially because the article is not bringing anything new. All it does is quote stuff from Media Day and the Lawrence Frank Coach Lou presser the week before. It's like, this is nothing new at all. This is called an educated guess. He hasn't practiced yet, so how is he going to be playing next week?
And I understand. I understand with fans and like season ticket holders like being frustrated at not knowing, but like basically when they're telling you there's no change in status, that means the timeline to return is indefinite.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, like we haven't been told anything other than that this entire time. So I don't like maybe not being forthright with the procedure. I do think that kind of stuff is a little bit frustrating.
Shit is confusing.
Very confusing.
That's fair. And Joey Lynn asked a beautiful question about that to Coach Lou, the first question last night.
Yeah, it was weird.
And again, the Clippers, though, aren't the only team that does that, you know? So
we just happen to have the guy who's hurt the most, which sucks.
But we did hear that there was a setback.
Yeah.
I mean, Law posted from The Athletic earlier the day that there's no setback. There hasn't been a setback. Well, apparently he's talking about since training camp or since September. But then Joey Lynn, the first question to Coach Lou last night was about what was happening with Team USA. And while there wasn't a setback during training camp with Team USA, apparently right afterwards there was a setback. And that's likely what has scared them into being more cautious now because they already had one back in, what would that be, July?
Yes.
Late June?
Yeah.
That was significant. The indefinite thing was not. The setback clarification actually makes sense.
Yeah. And like with the timeline thing, at this point, I'm just like, me personally, I'm like, I don't give a shit about the timeline. He's out indefinitely. I don't know when. And the Olympics thing is also, I think there's an aspect of, you know, the team can't tell you to not play in the Olympics, right? Like they can do some weird thing like designate you as injured, but Kawhi wanted to get a gold medal. Like it's hard for a team, relationship wise, to be like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Which I'm just saying that plays into the weirdness factor. Like, why was he even there? It's like, well, the team doesn't have to give you permission.
That's a great point.
So like, but yeah, he's out indefinitely.
Every team encourages their guy once they want to do it. Every team gets behind him.
Yeah.
This is great. This is awesome. Joel Embiid's going to play. Let's get behind him, Sixers fans.
Right. Like last chance for him to win a gold medal too. But yeah, I mean, if you thought he was going to play opening night, I just don't. Like,
guys, wait to see if he practices first. Exactly. When he practices, when that is announced, that's a big deal.
Yeah, let's freak out. I also remember, it made me remember Adam, you and I's live stream when the soreness first got announced, and we went on and we were freaking out.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. I wish it wasn't rightfully so.
Everyone then who was saying stuff like, guys, they're just load managing him to get him ready for the playoffs. This is all a ruse so he can have a long postseason run. He'll be ready to go game one. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. All right. What did we actually?
Is it possible it was a ruse and then there was a setback?
Oh shit! Wait. Give me the Gantt chart for where the ruse timeline starts and then the setback comes in. I need to see the timestamps. All right. We got about 10 minutes left. What did we not like in the preseason that we hope doesn't carry over? My big bugaboo, field goal attempts. I don't want us to be losing field goal attempts every game, and it felt like we were doing that except for the last preseason game. Fun fact, I know we're talking about preseason stats. This is a fun preseason stat that has nothing to do with the regular season. I just thought it was funny. The Breakers had more field goal attempts than the Clippers in the preseason, which made me laugh. But losing the possession battle is something that I think is going to contribute to a lot of Clippers losses, just like it did last year.
Some of that could be, what was their free throw versus free throw against in the preseason attempts?
Let me pull it up. We need an intern,
because obviously offensive rebounds are a concern. The rebounding attributes to that, or contributes, because that's one way to lose the possession battle. Turnovers contribute to that, but overall, even though the Clippers outside of one game turned it over 20 times per game, it felt like every game, including one where they got 29 turnovers Monday night from Dallas, they were winning the turnover battle.
Yeah, that's true. I guess field goal attempts also just come into offensive system too. That's where the transition buckets will help, right? Is getting those quick buckets for the Clippers. But turning the ball over isn't going to help that. I cannot find I guess I can look at personal fouls per game.
Yeah.
They were one of the better fouling teams. They were 6th or
They
24th.
fouled the hell out of everyone.
Yeah, they were smacking the shit out of people.
Physical defense.
They were pretty solid at not fouling people. They had the 6th fewest fouls per game in the preseason, which for a team that was putting a preference on steals and blocks, which are physical things, I think that's a nice correlation to see.
But that also means the opposition is getting up more attempts because they're not at the free throw line. And if it goes the other way, if the Clippers were getting to the free throw line more, they're not getting as many shot attempts up.
The Clippers were getting to the free throw line. They were 9th in free throw attempts per game.
All right.
Not bad.
They got to rebound better.
Think that carries over?
Oh, they got to rebound better. The rebounding is that's a big Terrence Mann thing. That's a big Derrick Jones Jr. thing.
That's Norman Powell in the starting lineup, something Will has brought up. Like, the size issue is going to be there. Regardless if Norm is playing better defense overall, we think he will, but there's still a size issue there when it comes to the boards.
Yeah. Kai's going to have to grab boards too.
Hell yeah.
I mean, he didn't, it's not
Not
like he
against Sabonis every night, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, they only play them 4 times.
Yeah, those Pacific Division matchups, those are always heat.
He'll show up for those, though.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is the most important game. I circle every Pacific Division. I say, this is my finals. I got to put in, we're going to Vegas this week, and I got to put a huge bet down on the Clippers winning the Pacific Division. I'd be the only guy in Vegas putting that thing down.
Get great odds. Don't they have them as last?
Yeah, something like that. So I'll see you guys at the bank in about however many months until the season's over. Will, anything negative that you think is going to carry over into the end of the season before we let these Clippers fans enjoy their weekend?
I mean, we talked a little bit about the size issues. I mean, that's something that's still TBD. Can they get younger going in? Can they get younger going into the season? That's something I'd like to change.
Benjamin Button.
Jordan Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah. More Jordan Miller, I suppose.
More Jordan Miller's great. Hopefully the team doesn't look horrible when Harden's off the court. And yeah.
Did you guys hear his post game last night?
I read the quote.
Not only is Jordan Miller great on the court, like, he gave some of the most articulate, just high level answers. I couldn't believe some of the stuff he was saying. It was so mature.
That's what I was saying. He's a sponge. He's aware of his spot. Like, it's
for talking about how he's frustrated. That was the best way ever to do that.
Yeah,
the way he handled it.
I don't think he learned that from PJ Tucker. Would be my guess.
Oh, that's something I don't want to carry over from the preseason.
Yeah, PJ Tucker as a whole. All right, we are going to be back on Monday with a preview of Game 1 against the Suns. We should all be at that game, which will be very fun. First regular season game at Intuit Dome. The wall's going to be crazy. If you see Will or I in Las Vegas, say hey. If you see us, if you see us doing something stupid, you did not see us. Will, where can these people shout from the rooftops that they listen to our podcast?
Yeah. You can tell your friends or shout at whomever to listen to this podcast.
Anybody,
anywhere you get your podcast. If you happen to listen, I think I misquoted this on the other thing. If you happen to listen on Spotify, you can now leave comments on a per episode basis, which I just noticed on another podcast. So yeah, if you feel like doing that, go ahead, do it. You can leave a rating or review over on Apple Podcasts if you listen over there, and if you listen on any other audio platform, I don't know. You can send us an email or something. But you can comment on every video over on youtube.com. That's /@ClippersPodcast, which is, the best viewing experience it's on television.
Very true. Adam, one positive thing to send these Clippers fans out.
Yeah, Brian Seaman used my nickname for Kai Jones, Sky Jones, and it's the perfect nickname.
I love that this segment has just become Adam's personal validation.
You're going to get the law offices involved, dude.
No, I'm honored. I think the majority of Clippers fans, from what I've seen, and even us here, after preseason, where they went 4-1, and the only reason they lost a game is because there was a game winner in Honolulu by Golden State at the last second. I think most people are more optimistic coming out of preseason, even with the Kawhi news.
I would agree 100%. I think
That was not easy for this team to be able to pull off.
You know what? It's almost like the preseason is a much more longer version of that one episode we did a couple weeks ago, where through 45 minutes we went from this team sucks to, oh no, we got this.
I don't know if it's going to be our year, but it was our preseason, guys.
Will knows it's going to be our year, so we'll see. It's the bat. This year will decide if Adam knows the true fate of the team or if Will knows the true fate of the team.
Where are you, Chuck?
Switzerland.
Wait,
I'm at high play-in.
What is Adam's firm call on the fate of this team?
Yeah, I don't even have one.
I've said high play-in team.
Play Jordan Miller is my firm call.
That's fair. I've said high play-in team, and I'm sticking by it.
A lot of cowards riding the line. A lot of cowards
I'm
on
not riding the line. I planted my flag very high in the play-in.
I mean, that's where Will has us starting too, but we end up.
Yeah, Will said seeding doesn't matter. That's true.
He has us 10th.
All right, that about wraps
greatest championship ever won. The greatest championship.
Start engraving the names on the Larry OB right now, Mr. Silver. We will be back for y'all on Monday, and as always, let's go Clips.